I get out to my nephew's, and he started getting his boots on. He said, let's go for a ride. So we went for a long ride, stopped at this little town, took a break, along the street there and talked, come back home. We get 4 blocks from his house, come up to a stop sign. I only had about 4 blocks to go. I went to pull out, and the bike jerked and stopped. It's like when you don't gear it right and you give it too much throttle or something. I started it again, and then I went, and I could feel when I started it, it wanted to go like this. It wants to go. It's like the clutch isn't clear on. I had the clutch pulled clear in. Going down the street to the next stop sign, same thing. Everything was good. I gave it a throttle. It's trying to pull. It jerked. Hit the starter. Got it going. I went down. My nephew come up. There's a red light and was just ready to turn green. I went up and I went beside him. The light had just turned green. He was going to go straight. Well, I turned left, and as I did, I had my shield up. I hollered clutch. I turned and went up that way. Well, he didn't hear what I said. He knew I said something, and he knew I was having trouble. So I went up to his place, and I managed to go, and I would do like a rolling stop. I'd get real slow, but I wouldn't stop. I didn't want to have to use that clutch. And as I went up there, I turned the throttle down some, and I pulled the clutch. The clutch handle was clear in. It's not coming out at all. It's clear in against the hand grip. So I kind of thought, that's that plunger in there, because that plunger, this is a hydraulic clutch, and it has a spring in there that pushes the handle back, helps push it back when you put it on and then leave it off. It wasn't pushing back, so that made me think that plunger in there is stuck. So we went up, we put it in his garage, and I got down, and I was going to take some stuff off, and then, I thought, check the fluid in here first, make sure it didn't leak the fluid down. But I didn't think so, because that spring would have still worked. Checked it, it had the fluid in, clear up where it was. Then I realized it had to be in here. So we're thinking, we got probably 18-20 miles to come up here to my house. We're thinking, what do we do? Leave it there till the next day, get a U-Haul, so I can get up here and fix it. And I said, well, let me take that apart, clean it out, because I had put new fluid in it. And when I opened it, there was a lot of dirt in the bottom. Here it was in that plunger coming out. That's where the dirt was coming from. I said, let me take this off, clean it all out, put new fluid in, and I'll try it. And he said, yours takes number 4, fluid, brake fluid. And I said, yeah. He said, I only have number 3. At this time, it's like 20 after 9, and he said, maybe we can go to a garage or some quickie mart. I said, Walmart has it, and he's not too far from Walmart. So he called them. They're going to be open till 10. So we booked up there, got the bottle of brake fluid, come back, cleaned it, took it off, cleaned it all out, and I sprayed carb cleaner in it and worked it. That plunger started working, and then the handle was working nice, spring loaded, cleaned it, blew air through it, got it all cleaned out, put it together, put oil in it. Now I'll show on this, there's some air that stays in this top. It didn't run out the line because I disconnected it up here, and there's a little bit of air in there. And if you take this handle, once you have it back on the bike and you put your fluid in and you squeeze it real slow and easy, little bubbles keep coming up. You don't want to pump it fast, because if this thing gets the air out, it's going to shoot up. We had covered the tank, made sure, we're not going to get brake fluid on anything. But you squeeze it slow and easy, and you'll see them bubbles. There's 2 holes down in there, and it's coming out of both of them. And I just kept that up. All of a sudden, after a while, I could feel it coming back. I said, that's it. I didn't get any more. It was really trying to push a fluid up, and I mean, if you would do it fast, it would really shoot it up out of there. So that's why I knew not to do that. Just go real easy and slow. Put the cap back on, tried it, worked great. So I said, it feels great, the test. I backed the bike up a little bit, started it, had the clutch in, put it in gear, sat there. I let the clutch out a little bit, gave it a little gas, it moved forward, pulled the clutch in, everything's fine. Rode home, no problem at all. But when I cleaned this out, I didn't take that plunger out. So now I'm going to take it off, and I'm going to take this plunger out. So if you have one of these this is a 1993, if you have one that old, You need to clean that out. And I think later I'm going to do that front brake up here, because it has the same kind of mechanism. You know, it uses a .4 brake fluid. I think I'm going to do it, but I'm going to do this for right now. One thing, if I would lose that brake, I always got the back brakes. You lose your clutch, what are you going to do? And if you're out, the only thing is, if your clutch does that same thing, the handle goes clear in and you're out, take a screwdriver, usually you have tools, screwdriver, take the handle and bang on it, and keep working that and bang on it. You might get it back out to where you can use it. But I'm like, oh man, after all that. And then I told him, it's an easy fix. But for our ride, oh, was it beautiful, beautiful, nice. We went and it was nice, you know, sunny day and perfect. And then it got dark. It didn't even get chilly. It was so nice, because we rode in the dark from where we had pulled off and talked. It was getting dark. We rode clear to his house, and I just had a shirt on, heavy shirt with sleeves on it, and it was perfect. Oh, was it nice. When we worked on this down at my nephew's, I told him, just like I always say on my videos, do the easiest thing first. And this was the easiest thing, and that handle sticking clear in, I knew that plunger in there was stuck, and that's where all the dirt and stuff was coming from. So first of all, I put a moving blanket over this, then I put tarp. I have it on the side stand so it's tilted this way. If any brake fluid drips, it's going to hit this and come this way. Now when I get this all done and I go to put fluid in it, I'll put it on a center stand so it's you know, upright. First thing is, I got a 12 millimeter, and I want to loosen this line right here, because once I unbolt it and go to take it off, this is going to be hard to hold and get this off. So you can see you have to have it pretty tight. So I'm going to loosen it, and then I'm just going to snug it up so it doesn't leak any brake fluid for right now, but it'll be easy to open now. And I got a number 8 for these two that'll hold it on to the handlebar. And I got a roll of paper towel there ready, just in case. But I really want to keep the fluid down from the bike. It's so corrosive. And this simply lift it off. Now you turn it over, you can see this here. This is your electronic part, that a switch that'll tell you if you have the clutch in or out. I think when the kick stands down and you go to start it, you got to put the clutch in, or if it's in gear, one of those. But anyway, it won't start, and that's that right there. So I got to get a Phillips to take that out. Now this is on the Honda ST. Other bikes this might be a little different in here, but it's basically the same. So I want to take this little switch off. There's one screw, and when you take it off, I look underneath here and you can see the screws here, but there's a nub here that goes into this hole. So the nub goes in there to keep it from turning, and then the screw is what pulls it tight. So there, I have it off just that easy, and it's ready to come off of here. Now I got my 12 millimeter wrench, and now it's easy to take off. And I'm going to hold it up this way so no fluid, very little, will come out. As I take it off, I see there's a washer on this side. They're usually copper, but this looks like it's kind of like chrome, but that's what was on it when I took it apart the first time. So that's the way I'm going to put it back. And then for a washer this side, they use this clip. And this clip is so when you tighten this, it don't turn. It doesn't, like, you know, make the thing go around. It holds it there for you when you go to tighten it back in. Okay, there we are. That clip dropped someplace right in my hand. There's my clip. And right there it is, so I can turn it over the basket, run the stuff out of it, the fluid, take the lid off, and then I'll show you about this part over here, how to take it apart and what comes off and what we have to clean and stuff like that. But that's a start. I can leave that right there. There's no fluid coming out at all. So I can just leave it hang right there, and if anything happens to drip, it'll hit this tarp, run right down, and I have a basket there underneath. But hell, I don't care if it goes clear down on the floor, it ain't gonna hurt. And if you can see, I turned it, and I'm even going to pump it a little bit, get the fluid as much as I can out. There. Now you get some paper towel. I should have had some pulled off, but get paper towel around it so you don't get that brake fluid on anything. And I'll be ready to get my bench over here. And it takes a number 10 for this. This is more of a lock nut. Now, the pin that goes through, it's screwed in, then a lock nut on it. So you get a big flat screwdriver. And I can take this out that holds the handle on, and you put it back together. You got to put a little grease on this, just on that, to help keep it lubed up. Take that pin out, and it needs cleaned. You see some gunk on it. Pull this out, and you can see this little plunger comes with it. There's a little rubber piece on there, but that's not what seals the brake fluid in. And this just pulls right out of this. And this little barrel turns. It has a hole in there that this fits into. The rounded part goes in first because there's a little place in there that this fits, and it's rounded down in. So I'll just lay that off to the side. Now, there's a rubber dust boot right in here. And mine is just about, it's kind of tore and really getting bad. And I believe that pulls out, and then there's a clip in there. I might even have to rip it apart to get it out, and that's probably why I'll get that rebuild kit and then later do it, because it is in there. And I looked at the book at the exploded view of this, and I think it's going to be hard to get out. There it is, it came. But you can see how up here, I think there's supposed to be a top where that plunger just has a little hole and it goes in. But this is really, boy, that's hard. That's why it wouldn't come out. It's all hard, that little dust cover. Now, I can see the clip in there, and I have these real pointy pliers. I may get in there with them. If not, I'm going to have to get my regular clip parts to get that out. Let me see if I can squeeze it and get it out. And I think what you need to do is, when you do that, is push down on the plunger so it ain't pushing on that clip. Now I got that pushed down. It's going to be hard for you to see, but I got to push down. It's even hard for me to see in there. And now, if I get those points, those pliers in there, nope. What I'm going to do is work off screen to get that clip out, because I just hold it here. I just can't see it, but it just squeezes in. You push down on a plunger, squeeze that clip in, and then it'll all slide right out. This one maybe have to be pulled out because it's got so much crud in it. I got that clip out, but I bent it up getting it out. I had to dig at it with a screwdriver, this ice pick, and this screwdriver to get it out, because these to take them out won't fit in there the way this is made. It won't go down in there. So I had to really dig it out. I have some of these. I might have the right size. Okay, so there's a washer in here first, and I can see it's really dried and gunked up. Here's the plunger. Then you can see now, here's the spring inside. Here's the one that really keeps the fluid from coming out, I believe. But there's two of them rubber washers. And what I'll do is now I can clean that inside. It looks like it's got a little bit of grit down in there. I don't think the camera will pick it up. Maybe with the white. But it's kind of gritty in that. I'll clean it out. I'll spray it and everything. But there's no other, I'm just looking, there's no other O-rings or nothing like that. So I can go ahead and I can spray all this out with carb cleaner. I'll spray this off and see how it is. It's, yeah, the rubber's still soft. Oh, that just sets right on that one. That's a cap on that one. So that's the way it goes right there. I'll just leave it and clean it as I go. But it would probably have worked, but once I clean all this out and get these parts cleaned, and I have a lot of different sizes of these. I should be able to find one that fits. If I couldn't possibly find one, what I'll do is I won't take one that's smaller and stretch it, you know, and make it fit. I don't want to do that. I'll just order the kit, rebuild kit, and wait till I get it. But I think I have some of these. So that's where I'm at right now. Let me get everything cleaned up, and then I can probably start putting it back together. I have everything perfectly cleaned, and I found a clip that I think will work. If it squeezes in far enough, it might be just a hair bigger than that one. If it squeezes in, I'm going to try it. But this in here, I took a little brass brush, sprayed carb cleaner, and cleaned that out real easy, and especially that outer groove where that clip goes. I cleaned it. And I'm ready to put these back in. This piece will go in first, and it has a little rubber cap. So what I do is I get a little bit of brake fluid on a Q-tip, and I like to wet that with that brake fluid. It just helps it go in and out better, I think. It's not going to hurt it. So that goes right in. Then this piece, it was pretty gummy in here and stuff, and I think that's where it was getting some of that dirt from. It was binding it up. And there's a rubber on there, and I cleaned everything real good. I took a little brass brush and went over everything, cleaned that out in there where the plunger goes. Put just a little bit of brake on it, and that goes in there. That's working real good. So now what I have to do is I have to push that down and try to get that clip on. It might take me a while. If it's not the right size, then I'll just have to go tomorrow and get, find one at the hardware, see if they have anything closer. If not, I can order the rebuild kit and just wait for then. So for right now, I'm going to go off camera and get this back together. And it was hard to get that clip out. I actually had to bend it up because these will not fit down in here because it has these two parts coming up. There's no way. So I took that pick, bent it over, and then got a screwdriver and went down, around it. But I might be able to use these, and these are straight. And I have a set that goes in and bends, and squeeze this in and try to get it down in that hole. Once I get it down in the inner hole, I might be able to just keep pushing, go around and push with the screwdriver and get it in. So I'll go off camera and do that. The noise in the background is the neighbor cutting his grass. So I have this plunger. I put it in there, and what I did last night, the last thing before I quit, was I took this little screwdriver, put that dust cover over it, put silicone around, and a gob over top. So it should come off. easy. I took a Q-tip and put oil on top of the screwdriver, so I should be able, hopefully, to get that off. There, and it's intact. And it took the round up in there. It's nice and round, just like the screwdriver. So there it is. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take some Armor All, put in a little cup and set that just to get this bottom, get it loosened up. And then what I'll do is this will go up inside, and I'll have to cut a little wee hole for this to go down over, and it goes usually right to there. It comes down this far, right on top of this piece. Then this will go inside to plunge it. So let me get Armor All on that and get it fixed up. I'll cut the little hole, and then I'll show putting the rest of it together. I'm ready to put this back together, and you can see my silicone. I have one little hole there, and I just dabbed a little bit on there. It'll dry. But, you know, it's not real pretty, but just so it keeps the dust out. Now I go to put this in. This goes inward. This round part goes inward. Now first, this little shaft here, I want to get some grease on it. So I'm going to use a Q-tip and some grease and lube that up, because it goes down in there and I think it moves a little bit. There was grease on it when I took it out, but it was all dried up. That's the thing of these bikes setting, they get like that. So now I can put this right down in here, and that's my plunger. And what I'm going to do is try to push it down and just catch the edge of this rubber, try to wiggle it down in there. And it went right down in, no trouble at all. I let it up easy. The rubber's clear down in. Yep. That'll keep the dust and dirt out. Now, I've cleaned all these parts to go here. This piece that goes in there for the handle, where this rod goes. This piece that goes right there, I want to look yet. So, and this hole is only on one side because that stem goes in there and that's what pushes it. So I'm going to put a little bit of grease in there, and then just a little bit on the outside all the way around. But the most important part is I want to show you when I bleed that. Like I said, you can get the air out of the top, and it's really unique. Hope I got this on camera. There we go. Doesn't take much. So the hole in the peg will go through there. There. And I'm just going to smear a little grease on it. Keep it from oxidizing. It won't hurt up there. Now I'm going to put some grease on this peg. I cleaned it real good. I put it in a lathe and turned it and put a little real fine wet and dry sandpaper on it. There. Before I do, this has a brass bushing in there where the bolt goes, so I'm going to stick a little bit of grease there, and on this little bit outside where it turns. It won't hurt it. Get that all cleaned and greased. it goes together like that. I'll put the bolt down through, but first I'm going to, this part here, I greased it in there, but I'll grease it here again. A little bit extra grease ain't going to hurt. This close, you wiggle it and just screw it in. You want this down tight. You'll still leave the lever turned. There. Just like a little bit of that grease around. That's my lever. Works nice. Now I'll put the lock nut on. Last night I wired this on here so I'd know right where it's at. This little clip that I'm going to need. And I'll be putting this on first onto the unit here. But what I did was I took the screw and put back in here so I would know right where it's at. Too many times I want to set them down. Sometimes I'll get one of them magnetic bowls and put up here and then put the parts in there. But just so the next day you come out, you know exactly where they are. Now this one goes back on just the way I took it off. There's the switch. There's a nub that goes in there. And once you get it in a hole, you can line up the screw to put back in there. Got that in, tighten it, there, that's good. This is all empty, so I ain't got to worry about turning it or anything like that. And I got this all sealed up too. So now I can put it on. And did I say what do you call it? I'm going to put this up this way, the way it says. And I think I said I put it up on a center stand. And that's so that when I go to fill this, I can turn the steering until this is level to put the fluid in. Okay. I have to see about where I want it. About like that. Now see, without any fluid in it, this is spring loaded. So when that wouldn't come out at all, I kind of knew it had to be in there. Need a smaller socket. Now, got it snugged up. Yeah, it feels pretty good. That feels good. Yeah, that feels good there. Now, I had this in the bag, the line, no fluid come out. So I know this bracket goes this way, so it goes on with the long part out this way. And there's the washer up on the top. So when this is put together, it's all sealed. And I did take this bolt out, and it's a hollow shaft down in there, a hollow hole, then cross drilled, and I made sure all them are cleaned out. Nope, I gotta get my wrench. Forgot my wrench for that. Got my 12mm wrench. Now that it's clamped, I can really tighten that up. And then I said about this here, when I had it on, I want to tighten it. So it's tight. It is tight. Works good. Okay, got that clip up against there. So now I can do the part I really want to show. I'm going to take this lid off. For the brake fluid. I'm laying this stuff back on the seat, but I have the tarp over it, so I would never lay this stuff on anything that's unless paper towel, or at least paper towel, but it'll soak through paper towel. So you probably want to put tarp. Now let me get my brake fluid. And I'm going to turn this a little bit so that it's kind of level where I can do it. And let me reset the camera so you can see right down inside of that. Okay, so you should be looking right down inside where I'm going to put the brake fluid for the clutch. Right in the middle there's a hole, and then right over here, right in front of the screwdriver, there's a hole right there. And that's where the air will be coming up out of. I know I have air in the top of this line because of this, and I had the line off that in there, but from on down here, a piece on down is all fluid, so it's just in this top area I'm going to be getting the air out of. And instead of filling this and then bleeding all that down to the bottom and out, this is a lot better. So I'm going to fill it up right to the line where it goes, right there. And I always put the lid on the bottle just in case I'd knock it off this little table I have. So right now, see the air coming out of that one? I'm just squeezing this real slow. Like I said, you don't want to do it fast. You can see with each squeeze in and out, there's air. When I let it off, sometimes air comes out of it, but it's working that fluid down in. And I'll just keep doing that and doing it. That piston's going back and forth and working it in really good, getting that air out. Then this is the master cylinder for the clutch, hydraulic clutch. The bottom one's the slave cylinder. It's the one when you pull this, that one down there works. So this winter I'll be taking the bottom one off and doing the same thing, taking the plunger out, cleaning it. Hopefully it works the rest of the fall, towards winter, and then once it starts snowing that, I'm done riding. I'll do that. And I have some other things I'm going to do to this bike. But if this one had that kind of dirt in, the bottom one does probably too. It's still got, I'm going really slow now. It's getting a lot of air out of there. And I can see by the line it come down just a little bit. That's still clear. Now I'm starting to get pressure. I can't pull it clear in. There, I think right there. You can see that that's not an air bubble coming up. See it jump right there? That's a fluid. That's why if I hit it hard, it would spray up out of there and all over the bike. So I go slow. There's an air bubble. But it's really getting hard now to pull, because it starts in easy, but then it's pulling really good. Boy, there was a bunch of air. I keep doing it for a while. I want to try to get it all out. And I think when I was down my nephew's, I did that, and then I left it set for a little while, and we talked. And then I went back to it because I thought, you know, I'm going to let it just in case some air down in here can maybe work its way up. Yeah, it's getting nice and hard now. It's pushing in the clutch. Yeah, that's jumping there. That's not air. That's fluid squirting up out of there when I start to push it. It didn't take much. Down there seemed, the first time I cleaned this out, yeah, I had the whole line. You know, I pulled it down through. But then I come up and I took this off to check the level, and then I just pulled it real easy. I seen, even though I had bled it all down through, I had a little bit of air up in here, and it was coming out. So I just kept doing it. There's some. Now it's hard to pull after, so I get it going, and then it's hard to pull, but I can pull it clear in, and that's pushing on the clutch down there. And I believe that is it. And I'll tell you what, I don't think I'm going to have to add any fluid. It's man, it's right on the line. So I think I'll just leave it right there. Okay, I see it bubble, or you know, that squirting up. There was a bubble laying on top. It was, but you can see now down in there, if you see in the big hole, you can actually see the piston going right there. There is no air coming out of there now. It's just that fluid squirt. That was a bubble. Little bubble. I'm looking around where I bolted it on. No leak on the line or anything. No fluid. Okay, I think I got it. So now I put this rubber part on, and if you put it on right, the rubber and the plastic, it fits down just about flush. And you push it and hold it a little bit, make sure it's down the whole way. Cap back on. And the screws. And then another thing, getting it off the kickstand, or the center stand. I was down at my nephew's and I got on it to get it down, and he said, "You need help?" I said, No. I said, "Just watch." I never ever get on the side of the bike, stand beside it and push, because if it gets a little off balance in a tall bike like this, it's going over. If it goes that way, you're screwed. If it comes towards you, you can have the side stand down, but it might go up. So the best thing I found is to set on a seat, put your feet on the floor, and like this is higher now, so I'll be on tiptoes. Put the side stand up. I don't want it going down, catching and throwing me off guard. So I put the side stand up and I rock it. And it takes usually like 2 or 3 times, you know, I'm kind of rocking it forward. All of a sudden it'll go down, the stand comes up. Concentrate on getting both them feet and holding that bike. Then you can put the side stand down, no trouble. But I would never ever push it from the side, because if it gets a little bit off, it could go over. So that's the way I'm doing it. That's the way it's going to work. So now I can take all this stuff off. Let me, yeah, feels good. Feels like the clutch. I'm bumping the camera because I got it right on this handle grip over here. I was trying to find a place to put it. And I got to put this rubber up over that goes right on the, where the brake line goes on. There's a rubber that covers that, like a protector right there. And it's on. Looks great. So I hope this helps somebody, and if not, shows you what it's like if you have hydraulic clutch. A lot of them are maybe different, a little different than that, but basically the same thing. And these brake things, just like I showed on the brakes for the wheels, you can take them apart and clean them, you know, just like this dust cover. If I'd order that, it's going to be 4, maybe 5 days on it getting it. Why wait? Now I can ride. Well, I could have rode with it like it was good before like that, but now I know at least the dirt's going to be out of it. I can order that. I can put it on in the winter if I want to. Rebuild kit, maybe not. Never know. Have a good day.